Hi, everyone, and welcome to our presentation. It is entitled Student-Led Projects to Greenify Low-Income Elementary Schools and Reduce Carbon Dioxide Emissions. My name is Dr. Diricha, or DJ Cast, and
my name is Kyla Kelly.
And this is our presentation.
So first I'm going to talk about our original proposed project that we planned on doing pre-COVID. So we developed lesson plans to teach students about greenhouse gases and climate change, specifically focusing on CO2, human inputs of this greenhouse gas into the atmosphere, and mitigation techniques. We are also going to install the CO2 sensors you can see in the middle picture in classrooms that we partner with, so students could be involved in data collection and analyzing this data that they collect. And lastly, students now informed with the knowledge of how climate change can be mitigated or combated would be able to choose greenification projects that they could implement in their own schools using funding provided by the Environmental Education 30 Under 30 Grant Maker or Change Maker Grant Program. So some examples of these greenification projects that could be done include hydroponics systems, recycling programs, or community gardens.
The organization that received the funds is the Joint Educational Project, which is a part of the University of Southern California. Joint Educational Project, we normally call it JEP. JEP has partnerships with over 20 local schools and 60 local nonprofits, and it's using that infrastructure that we are specifically attached to the STEM education programs there. The STEM education programs are partnered with 7 local elementary schools. Specifically, those are 32nd Street Performing Arts Magnet, Lanisha Weems Elementary, Vermont Avenue Elementary, Fauché Learning Center, Norwood Street Elementary, John Mack Elementary, and the California Science Center School. All of our partner schools are Title I, and on average are about 90% free or reduced lunches, and those numbers are a proxy for a school being considered a low-income school. The students that our project is serving are predominantly Latinx at about 92% and 8% Black.
So due to COVID-19, we've needed to adapt our project to be conducive to an online format now. So because all staff and students are remote through the end of 2020, we won't be able to go into any classrooms in the foreseeable future. So instead, DJ and I have installed CO2 sensors in our own homes to collect data, and we are posting it online so that students and teachers will have access to it and can still analyze it and work with it. So we are also planning on hosting a professional development day with teachers to teach them how to use these lesson plans and teach their students remotely with them, how to work with the CO2 sensor data. And the hope is that once we're able to go back into classrooms and can actually install these sensors, these teachers will be well prepared to bring these lessons to their students in the future.
So this is what our CO2 sensors actually look like here in this middle image. They are, the CO2 sensor is right here on the green background, and it's mounted onto an Arduino Red board. And all the teachers, we are setting those up for the teachers that we are partnering with. And all they need to use is all they have to do is be able to plug it into their classroom somewhere once schools do reopen. We wanted to let teachers know that we are collecting this information, and so we posted this particular flyer on all of our social media channels to let our teachers know that we are going to be collecting some CO2 data using the sensors in a similar way that we wanted them to be able to collect data when they do get it installed in their classrooms. And we wanted it to be a community science project, so each of the schools could look at the other school sites' data and compare, you know, how different are these 7 schools. They are within a few miles of each other, all 7 of them, but how different are they at CO2 levels? Like, where did they decide to put their CO2 sensors? Are they inside? Are they outside? Does that make a big difference? And so really having the students emulate what climate scientists do through our particular project. And the proposed project was to give each school ownership of a greenification project. So how to, like, they get to choose how they would like to greenify their school and see if that greenification project has an impact on the carbon dioxide sensor that's installed at their school. Like, you know, is it inside? Do they put more plants in the classroom that it's hosted in, or the hallway that it's hosted in? Does that make a substantial difference, yay or nay? But each school was supposed to have ownership of that project. That unfortunately is not as COVID friendly. And so because of that, we are doing the teacher PDs and creating lesson plans that go with the sensors and that lead up to the sensor information. And when we are disseminating this out to a larger teacher group, it'll also be a how-to guide to actually put the sensors together. And so if teachers want to create their own that are not partnering with us, that they'll be able to know how to do that. The CO2 sensor data that Kyla mentioned earlier, this is what it looks like at the moment. So it's comparing, Kyla lives in Los Angeles. I live in a east-based suburb of Los Angeles, and comparing a little bit of urban versus rural and seeing what the difference is. We also added a notes column recently because, as many of you have probably seen on the news, we are being ravaged by wildfires. And we are actually seeing that in our CO2 sensor data. And so adding some of those notes to demonstrate of, like, you know, we've gotten substantial increases in our CO2 data. Why is that happening? We also had some open versus not open window situations happening in Los Angeles. So it's really interesting to see what makes a substantial difference on our indoor CO2 sensor data. The professional development session is scheduled for October 17th, and it is targeting predominantly upper elementary school teachers. We are opening it up to a wide audience of teachers that would like to participate with us. And for the local teachers in the 7 schools that JEP is partnered with, when they sign up, they do get a gift package because they're the ones that are ultimately going to be having these sensors installed in their classroom. And with that, we also are hoping to do a citizen science project, which is the mass distribution of thermometers, not the forehead scanny type, but just regular type that we could easily send to all 2,500 of our students that we work with, and having each of the students collect temperature data on a daily basis to make that temperature thing its own citizen science project between the schools as well. Because we had to get creative about what we could do COVID friendly wise, because that's at least something that they could easily measure from home. And that is a summary of our project. If you're interested in learning more about our project or have questions for our team, our contact information is here. And that's it. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.